Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Kim with Creative Crafticality, and today I wanted to show you how to make an easy tassel for your junk journal or a traveler's notebook. And so I have this book I'm working on. It is a superhero theme. I found this really cool pattern from the 1960s that's the Batman, Robin, and Superman costume pattern, and since Halloween is coming soon, I thought this would be a fun journal to make. And so I found these really cool buttons at Joann's. I have the superheroes there, and then I have some trims, twine, a bunch of ribbons and things. I have scissors and wire cutters, and then my E6000. And then you need a paper clip. I have a big one here which I don't end up using. I brought out a smaller paper clip that I liked. And then you also need a ring, like a binder ring, or just one of the rings that you pull apart to put things on. I'm not sure what they call that, but I like the kind that doesn't open, but it can be a binder ring. And then I ended up pulling out a jump ring and a little lobster clasp at the end, just so the tassel would lay flatter on the side of the journal. So right now what I'm doing is I am cutting pieces of my ribbons and all my other trims and things to about 1 foot, 12 inches. And I just keep adding. I started with just cutting one piece of each ribbon, and then the smaller pieces like the trims and the twine, I cut 2 pieces of that. But you can make your tassel as full as you want it. Now, if the fuller you go, the less flowy your tassel is, if that makes sense. I love to use eyelash trim because that just adds a different texture. So I have this blue eyelash trim. And this trim I've had since my early scrapbooking days when this was all the rage, and it's kind of come back now. And I've seen it at the Dollar Tree of all places. I'm not sure if it's been there recently, but maybe 6 months ago they had it there. And I'm not sure if you can buy it at Joann's right now or not. I don't know. Definitely you could find it probably on Etsy. This was just a different kind of a twine. And then this one was even like a fiber sort of. But I cut 2 pieces of that one as well. I love mixing and matching all kinds of colors and textures. It just makes the tassel just look really cool. Now I'm taking this, it's a thinner, it's not really a twine, I think it's an embroidery thread. So it is kind of thin for a tassel, but I liked the green and I didn't have a thicker twine that I wanted to use. So I cut 2 pieces of that, and then I do end up using that to tie my tassel together at the top. So now what you want to do is take your pieces and lay them out in the kind of order that you want the tassel to be. And you want to start with the pieces that are going to be on the top first and lay those down on the bottom, so that when you wrap them around your ring, they will be on the top. And you can see those. And usually I try and use my thinner items. I put a few one of each of the thinner pieces at the top, because if you have your thicker ribbons at the top, then you're not going to see the other ones as well when you're just glancing at the tassel. So just layer them any way that you want to layer them. And then gather them together, and you want to kind of twist them at the end, make them so you can fit all of them through your ring. And the ring I have, I usually like to use a 3/4 or a 1-inch ring, depending on how many pieces that you have. If you have a lot more than this, then you definitely need a bigger ring. But a 3/4 or 1-inch is a pretty good size for a tassel. So now I just kind of go through and take my pieces and pull them, make sure try to make them even, but you still, even in the fact that you want one piece of ribbon even on both sides of the ring, but you can have all the different pieces at different, like, it's kind of hard to explain, but it's nice to have them all at different levels, each individual piece, but each individual piece you want the same on each side of the ring, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Now, whatever you're going to use to tie this together, you need to just pull a big long piece out, maybe 1.5 feet or so, and pull it underneath. And you're going to tie it on the back of your tassel, the part that's going to be laying against the back of your book, or the spine of your book, because you'll be doing all the tying back there. So I left a string, the end of my string I made probably about 1 foot on one side of the tassel, so I had enough to tie after I twisted it around. So I'm just taking the two sides and I'm going to do a double knot here and try and make that first pull really as tight as you can get it, because you want these to all stay together. Now, I have in the past, and I've seen other crafters where they take and hold all their ribbons together and use the sewing machine and stitch it down, or I've seen crafters put some like hot glue in between underneath, like on the ring part, and then put their everything over the top of that. I don't think you need to do that. As long as you get it as tight as you can here around on that first knot, and then you twist the remaining around, like I usually go around about 10 times, and you'll see that here in a second. But I'm just trying to get this to double knot without it coming out. So there, I was able to get it nice, and I'm still holding it underneath and trying to get the top knot down as tight as the bottom. So there, I got it. Just kind of pull it nice and tight. Now I'm adjusting the pieces, because some of them end up being longer on one side than the other. So I try and make them even, as I said before. And I try and make it so that they're nice and tight above where I have it tied. Sometimes it gets hard to find one side of a ribbon or one side of the fiber, figure out which goes with which. You just have to start pulling and see what pulls on the other side. Like I have that big long piece of eyelash trim, and I was trying to find the other side of it so I could make it even, because I knew that it wasn't that long. So just make your adjustments. Now I'm going to take the other end of that twine, and I'm just going to start twisting it around where I had the knot. And you just keep going around. This is a thinner twine, so I had to go around several times. I think I did around 15 to 20. But you could also use a thicker twine, or you could use just a piece of ribbon and hot glue around the ribbon. I've done that before. With the ribbon though, if it's a thicker ribbon, you just want to go around and hot glue it in the back, or if you hot glue it to the front of your tassel, you can put a button or something, an embellishment on the top of that to cover up the intersection. But with this twine, I just twist it around and then I tie it back to the other side, that original other side when you made the first knot, and then leave it hanging down, and you can trim off like I'm doing here. Trim those pieces. And then after you have that done, then you just go through and pull and tighten at the top. So now you'll want to take your button. I have these really cool buttons from Joann's that are superhero characters. And I'm going to use the one that kind of looks like Superman. And he's going to go right on top there. It has the shank on the back, so you need to use your wire cutters to cut those off. So just put it right up against the button and hold your finger there so that, or your thumb on it, so it doesn't fly across the room. And then I'm just going to use some E6000 on here. That holds buttons the best on top there so they don't fall off. So just squeeze a little line down the middle of it and then put it where you want it on the tassel. You could also do the same, cut the shank off the button and then E6000 a little head on jewelry making that has the ring on it, or you could E6000 on and twist like a one of the little wire pieces to make a ring, to make a charm. I've done that before too. But now I'm just showing you how I used the paper clip. I was going to just attach the ring to the paper clip and then paper clip it onto the spine of my journal, but it doesn't lay very flat, and I thought that the larger paper clip just had the tassel going down too low on the book, on the spine. That it was laying okay there, but I just didn't like where it was hanging. I thought it was just too low. So I went and picked up one of the smaller paper clips, and at that point it wasn't laying as flat as I would like it to. So I tried it again, and you'll see here in a second that it just doesn't lay very flat. Okay, so you'll need a lobster clasp and your jump ring, and you'll need two pliers, two small pliers. I have this round nose and a smaller one later, but you'll want to take your two pliers and pull apart the jump ring. If you could actually get it in your fingers, because it kept jumping out of mine. So you want to pull the two ends apart, open them up, and then stick one end into your lobster clasp, the hole that's in that. And then once you have that through the hole, you'll want to put that onto your tassel ring or your binder ring and just close up the two ends. Make sure they're straight and as closed as you can get them so they're like touching so they don't come apart or open up. Now you can add a charm dangle or whatever you want to this to make it more full, or you could add like tie ribbons or bows with ribbons on this. I've seen the big fat yarn, whatever. But I'm just gonna attach the lobster ring to the paper clip and then hang that over my spine. And this just helps it to lay flat on the spine. I love how this turned out. It's just an easy tassel to make. It adds a lot to the spine of your book. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions or comments, leave those down below. But I hope you enjoyed this. Give me a thumbs up if you did. And I'll see you again next time. This is Kim with Creative Crafticality. Bye. God bless.